Bringing people and communities together on seclosounds.org.
Your listening station.
Hi, I'm Terry Sullivan and welcome to this week's Sticks Radio Show here on Seclo Sounds. Today on the show I've got one guest, a gentleman. He's a singer, songwriter, performer, and he's performing in a show at the moment called the Billy Joel Songbook, which but he's also had quite a varied career, so we'll be talking to him about that. I'm going to be putting a call into him at home in a few minutes, but before that, let's listen to his version of the great Billy Joel classic, My Life. Today on the show as my guest I have a gentleman who plays in the show called the Billy Joel Songbook. It's Elio Pace. Good morning, Elio.
Good morning, Terry. Lovely to speak to you.
And you, it's an absolute pleasure. I've never seen you live, performing live, but a lot of my friends have and say how good you are. So that's always good.
That's very, very kind of them.
Yep.
And I look forward to you finally getting around to play live.
It's not actually getting round to it, it's actually being in the country a lot of the time, so never mind. It's not to talk about me today, let's talk about yourself. How did you get started in the business? Where were you born and how all that little business? Just tell us a little bit about how you got into it.
Yeah, quick potted history. I was born in Woking, in Surrey, 1968. Mum and Dad, both Italian. They emigrated in the 60s from the southern part of Italy, Naples, and I was born in Woking, Surrey. I was brought up on the south coast in Eastleigh, near Southampton, and went to school, and it was at school really that I got, really into music. I mean, I just loved it all the time. As a kid, apparently I started to play the piano when I was 4 years old, so I was always playing the piano all through my infancy and all that sort of stuff, and then eventually decided I would make it a career. I had a fantastic teacher called Mary Granger who really inspired me. I went off and I went to College of Music in Leeds, and then I decided I would go professional. I auditioned for Opportunity Knocks with Bob Monkhouse in 1988. I got on the programme, I won my heat, I got into the final, I did very well, ended up on lots of television programmes with people like Les Dawson and Michael Barrymore and Ronnie Corbett, all those sort of people back in the heyday of the variety era at the end of the 80s. And then I sort of went on the road from then on, really, travelled all around the world. I've been a professional musician since 1988, so 27 years. And that's really, that's it. Yeah. I've just been on the road ever since.
And you've done some. I did look up in your biography. You've been in quite a few musicals. Tutti Frutti, Great Balls of Fire, Dancing in the Streets.
Yep.
I saw you in Dancing in the Streets. I must have done, because it is an amazing musical. I saw it, and
it was an amazing musical. As all those ones I did. I mean, I'm so lucky to have. You see, I can, because I can sing and I can play the piano, and I write music, I arrange music, I conduct, I musically direct, I produce records, because I can sort of, do those things, I have those strings to my bow. A lot of jobs have come my way, fully, from all sorts of things, even using those skills to play for other people. I spent a lot of time. So I did musicals. I played in my own band. I played in other people's bands. I played in some fantastic bands. One of the greatest people I've ever worked with was Albert Lee, the great guitar player.
Yes.
So that was fantastic. I mean, I've had a fantastic, wonderful 27 years
on the road.
Varied career with some incredible musicians and incredible stars, and fulfilling a lot of my own personal things. By writing my own material, getting it recorded, hearing it on national radio, having bands around the world cover my songs. So I'm a happy professional. But
that's good. I mean, I was looking in 2000. In the year 2000, you put together a band, and 15-piece band, and you did from outdoor concerts, and you backed other artists, including Art Garfunkel, David Soul, Katrina, among others.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, I put the band together in 1993. I remember I'd been doing piano bars in Norway. That was a tough job. That was 6 nights a week, 4 hours a night, playing piano bars. But it was a great way of really getting your chops together, really getting to know yourself as a performer and how you relate to stuff. But I decided I really wanted to get a band together. So I've had a band since 1993. In the year 2000, I expanded the band up because I was asked to musically direct a massive concert that included some big stars, as you've just named. But I'm very proud of the boys and girls that have worked with me, and eventually we got a superb job offered to us, which was to become the musical director and the house band, and I was the featured artist on Sir Terry Jerry Wogan Weekend Wogan show on BBC Radio 2 for a whole year in 2010. And on that show, we got to play and rehearse with and play and perform with live on national radio 34 shows in 1 year with some of the biggest stars, people like Glenn Campbell and Brian May and Gilbert O'Sullivan and Neil Sedaka and Nora Jones. I mean, it was amazing, absolutely amazing.
Amazing thing. So the Billy Joel songbook, which you do, the show,
Yeah.
how did that sort of come together? Because I obviously I've got some pictures of you, and you look very much like him.
I actually look like Elvis Presley.
Do you?
Yeah.
What does now?
In his heyday, 1958, I'm thin and skinny and handsome and all my hair and everything. I just choose to put on weight and lose it. So I can look a bit more like Billy. No, do you know what? I fell in love with Billy Joel. I loved a lot of music. I love Elvis Presley. I grew up listening to Elvis and all the rock and roll. I'm a big roots man. I love roots music. I love roots rock and roll, blues, everything from Louis Armstrong to Louis Jordan to Louis Prima, all the Louis. Elvis, Jerry Lee. I mean, I love, all the stuff. I love all that. And but when I got to, it was the middle of the 80s, 85 or 86 or something. I can't remember when it was. I was 16 or 17 years old. And I accidentally fell upon Billy Joel's music. And I absolutely fell in love with it. And it changed my life completely. It absolutely gave me a sense of direction and a purpose that nothing else had ever given me. Up to that point, I'd been inspired to play piano and sing and even write and stuff. But when I heard Billy Joel, and then I looked back on his catalogue of music at the middle of the 80s, right back to Cold Spring Harbor, I looked at all this music, and for me, that was it. That was my template of the music I loved. I loved his music so much. For me, he is the greatest singer-songwriter of all time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I fell in love with it 30 years ago. And I always imagined that I would love to do an evening of his music. I always thought that would be a fantastic thing to do. So I waited and waited and waited for other people. I thought, someone's going to do it. I came up with an idea to do it over 20 years ago. And I took it to an agent, and they said to me, listen, this is a good idea, but you might be just a bit too early because Billy's still very active. And, So it was something I've always had in my mind. And then the straw that broke the camel's back was about 2 years ago, when I had a very, very out-of-the-blue call from a guy called Larry Russell, who was Billy Joel's original bass player back in 1971 and 72. Before Billy Joel became famous, he had a little band which he toured around America with, and it was with this band that he got his major record deal with Columbia and became a star. The bass player of that band found me via YouTube, via social media, and he contacted me and said, I've been watching you on YouTube and stuff. Would you like to come and front the reunion of Billy Joel's original touring band for a concert in New York and Philadelphia? And of course I said yes. And it was just like, I couldn't believe it. I just could not believe the call. It was just amazing. So this band had reunited, and they asked me to go and front the show with another piano player from New York to celebrate the reunion of this band. They asked Billy, he said no. So they asked me to do this show, which was amazing. And it was because of that I thought, this is finally the time. I need to get my stuff together here and get this show together. So I put together the Billy Joel songbook.
Yeah, and it is literally the songbook of Billy Joel. It is what it says on the label.
Exactly. It isn't, it's not specific. It's not just the odd songs here and there. It is a whole evening of all the amazing hits that Billy Joel wrote. There's over 30 songs in the show. I have an amazing band play the songs with me, and we've been touring last year for the first time ever We did 70 dates last year around the country.